Okay, you're all set.
Okay. Okay, introduction to remote meeting for use by the chair. The opening meeting of the Northborough Earthworks Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29, 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Earth Board are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Earthworks Board to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream on this measure may do so by going to the Northborough remote meeting on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. The meeting will feature public comment. I'm going to confirm the members who are here. Tony Pini,
Here.
Tom Beals,
Here.
staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Fred Litchfield,
Here.
Melanie Rich. Okay, I guess we're all set.
Melanie's here. She's just muted.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay,
Thank
Melanie.
you.
I know.
Hi.
Melanie. Okay. Now, do we want to review the minutes of the last meeting, which were December 8th? Did everybody take a look at them? They were sent to us by Melanie the last couple of days.
Yes.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion
Make
that
motion.
we,
Accept.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Roll call.
Okay. Oh, roll call. I'm sorry. Tony Pini,
Approved.
Tom Beals.
Yes.
Okay, approved. Okay, we have a new permit by owner Bryant Vineyard, Margaret Harling. Applicant Charles Freeman. CC Construction Consultant, 95 West Street, map 54, parcels 35, 34, and 35. Is our participant available? Is our applicant available, Fred?
I believe Charles is here and he's
I'm
on
here.
mute. Oh, thank you. And Barry Yakeson from Waterman Design is also in the attendees. Do you want to have Barry brought in, Charles, or do you want to handle it?
I don't know how to bring Barry in.
No, just tell me if you want and we'll have our guy do it.
Yes, please.
I'm in.
Thank you. All right, great. All right.
Hi, Charles.
Do you want to run through the introduction, Barry, and go over the project?
Sure. Good evening, folks. Barry Atchison
evening.
with Waterman Design Associates, WDA Design Group. This project is finally going to construction. It is an approved subdevelopment on West Street, just around Cherry Street. It's a 10.5 or so acre 6-lot parcel that was subdivided into 6 individual lots. One of the lots is containing the existing home at 85 West Street. Sorry if I'm screaming or anything like that, so tell me to calm down. Sometimes I get excited. There's a common drive that will be constructed up the development. The first 300 feet of that was put in last year. I think it was last winter. And the applicant, CC Construction Consultants, Charles and crew will be continuing on clearing the land and constructing the rest of the common drive. And that will go from approximately where they left off, which is around station 300, and going up to station 970 feet. Another 600 feet to go. For this particular project, it'll contain installation of the common drive, as I just mentioned, which is removing the topsoil, putting good sub-base and sub-material in, and rebuilding the road. There'll be installation and clearing for each individual home lot, construction of the foundations for the homes, and installation of utility lines, electric and water. And I'm not sure about gas at the moment.
No gas.
No gas. I didn't think so. Electric and water. The first 300 feet of the water main is installed. They will then have to install some drainage structures, which are consisting of the Caltech chambers in various locations along the road to capture stormwater and infiltrate into the ground. There's also some drainage catch basin and inlet structures that'll be used to direct the flow where it needs to go. So it's my understanding that from this, most of the material on the top surface will be maintained on the property for use for spreading and doing landscaping and stuff. But the applicant has told me that they intend on bringing in most material for the road, which is a structural fill somewhere between 12 to 15,000 cubic yards, and then some other stone used for crushed stone for bedding and bedding material, somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 cubic yards of crushed stone. If I err on those quantities, anything changes recently, Charles?
Say it again, sorry.
Did any of those quantities change since the last time we talked?
I believe the structural fill is probably going to be closer to 3,000 to 4,000. There will be no material leaving the site. The only additional material that will be incoming will be is about 1,700 feet of water line to come down West Street for a hydrant on the corner of Cherry, which will also feed the common drive. The material that comes out of that trench will be brought in and will be used on the side of the common driveway as the slope fill.
And that's generally what the project is.
Okay. Fred, when we received the application, there was an exemption on the back. Does that apply to this particular?
No, actually,
Okay,
there's that's for another agenda item for the town meeting.
okay.
I could just give you a little bit more history. Barry's correct. Although it's not a subdivision, it's a common driveway. There was one existing home. that's going to be accessed off of the common driveway, and there's one home that's being proposed that's going to access off of West Street. So there are a total of 5 lots off the common driveway, 1 lot accessing directly from West Street. So it wasn't a subdivision, but it looks more like it than most projects that we see because there's so many lots. The work that was done so far didn't trigger the need for an earthwork permit because they didn't go beyond the common portion. Only 1 lot was being served. They didn't meet the threshold of 3 or more units for the earthwork permit to be triggered. They did do the bulk of the work for that first section of the driveway, the common driveway, not last year, but the year before. I believe last year was kind of a lost year. The project really didn't go anywhere last year. I think that Charles is a new contractor and not the one who worked on it previously.
That's correct.
I don't see anyone in the list of attendees for abutters, but you can throw it out there in case somebody is listening at home and wants to call in with a question.
Do we have any public comment?
Okay, so does the board have any questions that either I or Barry could answer, or Charles, for the project? I know that they're out there working now. They're just doing a little bit of site work. They really haven't gone too far. But they're anxious to get this under control this summer and get the bulk of the road, the driveway built.
And
This
I know-
is Tony Pini. I did have a question. The 900 Barry, the 900 feet of road, is that to the cul-de-sac and before the driveways to each house?
970 feet is the total length of the common drive, and that would be from West Street all the way up to the back of the cul-de-sac of the common drive.
Got
And
it.
the first
Then-
300 feet of that's been installed already.
Okay, and then the driveways are in addition to the common drive, and that's not
Correct.
part of the 900 feet.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Fred, I have one question. I'm all okay with the project. I saw this through conservation and we had a bunch of input on it. But is this going to trigger a land disturbance too?
I think it was before. I don't think we were going to it didn't trigger it for this project. I believe that I don't think so, no.
Okay, just curious. Do you think because it was started before that came in?
I think the permit was granted so long ago and the permit and the project started prior to, so we looked at it internally and didn't feel as though it needed it. As you know, there's some duplication and that's part of the discussion for the town
Right.
meeting. But we'll still have a bond and we'll still have all the same things, and we will still have the annual renewal of the earth removal permit, where the land disturbance permit is on a different time frame.
Okay, all right, perfect. That answers my question. I'm good with the rest of the project. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any more questions from the board? Somebody want to make a motion?
Oh,
Oops, I'm
I
sorry.
make a motion, we
I'm
close.
sorry. We're holding a bond now, right?
no, actually, there's no bond. This is a new permit. I have an estimate for the bond amount. It is $59,000, and it includes the 5.6 acres of disturbed area, spreading the topsoil, and then hydroseeding, and then some as-built plans, and a 15% contingency. The thing for you to know, Charles, is that whoever posts the bond, if it's cash, has to also submit a W-9 form, so we have a place to report the interest. If it's a performance bond, it just has to be a licensed surety in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the bond can only be released and returned to whoever posts it and submits the W-9. We can't have the owner posting the bond and then you trying to get it from us as payment. We can't, we
That's
can only
cool,
give
yeah.
it back to whoever posts it. So as long as that's clear, and however you want to post the bond, those are your two choices, the cash, which the town always prefers, and a W-9, or a performance bond from a surety company. Those are the choices, but the number is 59,000 as I've estimated it to be.
Fred, Tony Pini here.
Yeah.
I did have a question on the amount of the bond. There's a lot of fill being brought in here. And if something, we obviously don't want this to happen, but if something goes south, and let's say all the fill has been brought in and the houses haven't even started yet, I assume the fill would remain and it would just be reseeded over with the bond, or would the fill be removed?
It really depends on the condition of the site at the time they were to walk away. If it's a stockpile, we might just have erosion control put around it and then take the stockpile of topsoil. What we would do is hire a bulldozer to spread whatever we need to in order to get grass to grow on it. So whatever's not stabilized, paved or grass already, we would then spread the topsoil that's on site and then hire someone to come in and hydroseed that area so that it's stable and it's not washing off either into the wetlands or onto some neighbor's property or out into the street, because there's quite a bit of street frontage along West Street there.
Right.
So
Thank you, Fred.
it really depends on the site conditions at the time they were to walk away.
Yeah.
My sincerest hope is that they will be here till it's all done and it will look beautiful and no problems will occur between now and then.
Agreed.
I'll give you a little timeline, Tony, just so you understand. So lot 1B is of West Street. We're going to be tackling that first. At the same time, Jacob Matthews, this is my contractor right here, is going to be doing the excavating. He's going to be building the common drive. So both of those things will happen at the same time, because we will not be able to access or build the other 4 lots without the common drive being in place and the water hooked up. So that common drive will be done and completed, because that is the most of importance of getting the other 4 building lots permitted. We can't go without having that built in place.
For our sake and conservation, and our conservation agent will be out there regularly, Charles. What we'll be looking for is the driveway grade to be established, the slopes to be established, and get the slopes and the areas around the detention basins established so that they can capture the water while you're working on the rest of the project, so that we don't have the whole place ripped open all at once, but we have some stabilization. It's perfect timing. It's April. You can get some good growth in there in May, work through the summer. Goal would be to have it completely stabilized, even if the houses aren't all built, by the fall.
That's correct. That is our goal.
That's always our hope.
Yeah.
Okay, now if somebody had a motion, we could entertain that.
Okay,
I make a motion to close the hearing.
go ahead, Tony.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Tony, how do you vote?
I approve.
Tom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay,
And that is with the $59,000 bond.
$59,000 bond.
Mm.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just made a motion to close the hearing.
Oh, okay.
Make a motion to issue the bond.
Okay, then you need a motion to issue the permit.
I
With the
would
bond
make a
requirement.
motion to issue. Correct. I will make a motion to issue the permit for 95 West Street with the $59,000 bond as we discussed.
How do you
And I'll
vote?
I'll second that.
How do you vote, Tom?
Yes.
Tony?
I approve, yes.
Okay, motion's been approved.
Fred, quick question. What did you end up using for topsoil depth?
I used the 2 feet.
Perfect.
That's always the default if you guys don't put it on there. So in the future, try to include that.
Yep.
Okay, we're done with you guys unless you got any more questions. We need you to post a bond as soon as you can, Charles.
We will.
I know you're already out there working, so before you can go any further, I'd like to see that bond posted, however you want to do it. And then there's no appeal period on this permit. It's good to go. As soon as you post a bond, you can proceed along the rest of the project.
Very good. Thank you guys very much. Guys, have a good night. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming
Have a great
tonight.
one.
Okay, just so you know, the permit is ready. So if anybody needs me to bring it to you to sign it, or if you have time to stop in the town hall at your earliest convenience, it will be on the counter awaiting your signatures.
All right, I can be in on Monday.
Monday will be closed.
Oh, that's right, too. So either
Oh,
Friday
that's right,
morning
sorry.
or
Tomorrow
Friday.
morning.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, perfect. I'm pretty sure I won't see the bond until sometime next week anyway, so.
Yeah.
The other, one thing I wanted to talk about is now that we have Owen to host our meetings, we're no longer struggling to find a meeting night. So I wanted to try to establish a regular meeting night for the board, whatever most convenient for you. A lot of my Tuesday nights are already taken up by a few other boards. I know conservation meets on Monday, so tell me what night of the week works best, and then which week of the month works best. And then hopefully Melanie can chime in. I know she has other nights that she works for a couple other towns, and so her nights are a little bit limited, but I want to work around the board first, but I would like to establish a schedule that I could then post for the rest of the year. It really helps me to let the applicants know when the meeting is so that we know when the ad has to be in the paper, and I don't have to poll all of you for your availability every time.
Melanie, why don't you give us your, the evenings you're working, so we can work around that.
I wouldn't go with me. I mean, because I can get on. The only I definitely can't do Monday nights because I work for another town and I do have meetings there. Second Wednesday of the month is West Boylston. But if worse comes to worse, I can always pick up these meetings afterwards because they're being recorded. So you guys come first. You guys make whatever arrangements you have, and I'll pick it up somewhere.
Fred, what about you?
Well, Tuesdays are tough. The first and third are reserved for the planning board. The fourth is reserved for the ZBA, and the second has been reserved for the groundwater advisory committee, although that may not be, that may change after town meeting. So let's keep Tuesday off. Monday, I know conservation meets, the Board of Selectmen meets. Sometimes people like to watch those. So I'm thinking Wednesday or Thursday.
What if we do the first Wednesday of the month?
The first Wednesday of the month? Okay.
Right.
That means there wouldn't be a meeting in May simply because it wouldn't be time to average the 21 days. There's not 21 days between now and then. So your next meeting would be, your potential next meeting would be the first Wednesday in June or June 7th.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all right by me.
That work for Tony?
Yes.
I'll confirm with Chris and Ron after tonight's meeting before I put it out there on the web. And if there's a problem with those guys, I'll try to narrow it down. But the first Wednesday looks like it could work.
I think so.
Okay. So the next meeting would be tentatively June 7th.
June 7th.
June 7th.
Yep. Have you heard, Fred, of any other applications in the pipeline that we're going to miss?
I don't,
May meeting.
I don't know of any that are ready to file. I know a few that are going to need to get a permit. There's one up off of Whitney Street that's not been before conservation. There's a project on Bartlett Street that's still working its way through the planning board. If they get approval next week, they
Right.
may turn around and file the Gutierrez building. They may file right away if everything goes well. But I don't see it being a problem if you don't meet in May. I don't know of anybody who's pushing to get on the agenda. And I don't know that I have any projects that are in dire needs of an extension. If they're expiring, as long as they're put in their paperwork, we'll get them on the June agenda. I actually, one of the things I want to do is, we've got a lot of old permits from many years ago that have been kind of sitting around, projects that didn't quite get finished. I want to reach out to as many of the applicants as I can and get a status on whether or not they're gonna finish their project, get us the as-built drawings, and we can give them their money back. There's a couple that are just so old that they're stabilized, and I'll ask you to vote to release the money at the June meeting if they're adequately stabilized. I think that might be the good way to go. The town treasurer has been after me to get some stuff that's, 10 and 15 years old off the books.
I think so. It's about time.
Either we take the money or we give it back, but more than likely we'll just give it back to whoever posted it and call it a day. But
What about the bond reduction for 180 Barefoot Road? Do we want to hold
there
that
are,
off?
yes, there are two on the agenda because they're ready for me to recommend that you release the money. One is I sent you a revised agenda a few minutes ago. I revised it today. I added 55 Barefoot Road, and 180 Barefoot Road was already on there. That's Andy Curtis's project there across from Iron Mountain. He had stabilized the area, put in the drainage that we talked about. It's just kind of a contractor's yard where he's storing materials. And he thought he was going to put up a building, but then changed his mind, wrapped up the project, submitted the as-built drawing, and I'm recommending that you can release money to him. He had $6,500 that he had posted. I think that it's complete. And the other one is the one that was added today. I'd been waiting. That's the National Grid site at 55 Barefoot Road. They put in those solar panels over the parking lot.
Yes.
And then they took them down because there was a problem with ice falling off of them onto the cars. So then they had the supports modified to handle the additional weight. And then they added gutters and downspouts. And so they channeled all the water coming off of there through gutters and downspouts and then into the drainage system that was already designed to handle all that water before it was captured by the canopies, the solar canopies. He had submitted some as-built drawings, but they didn't include the gutters and downspouts and where the water, how the water got into the basin. So finally, actually yesterday, he sent me the final plans. And so I amended the agenda. I'd like to get that one up. That one's, as you can see, from 2017. So I'd like to throw a small bone to the treasurer and get that one off the list because
How
it's
much
about
is
5 or
that
6. What's that?
How much is that 55 Barefoot?
$7,700. 55 Barefoot.
I'm going to make a motion to release the bond for 180 Barefoot Road for the $6,500.
Somebody second that?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Roll call.
Yes.
Tom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tony, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, so that was for 180, right? 180
Correct.
Barefoot. Okay, now we have one for 55 Barefoot.
And I'll make a motion to release the bond for 55 Barefoot Road in the amount of $7,700.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? All those in favor of releasing the bond on 55?
Yes.
Okay, Tony, how do you
Yes.
vote?
Yes,
Tom, how do you vote?
Yes,
Okay, so we released the bond for 180 Barefoot Road and 55 Barefoot Road.
Okay, thank you.
good.
The other thing that's on the agenda is, there's two things. I had sent you a copy of the Earthwork, the bond spreadsheet. I don't know if you had any questions. I'm going to do a thorough review of that all the way back to the beginning when we started creating that list and try to get rid of as many as I can that are ready to be done, and reach out to those that are not and find out if they're going to, if they're going to do something that would get them ready to get their bond money back. Several of them just got kind of left off the list to renew. They stopped renewing. They didn't ask for their money back. It's kind of a black hole. So I want to go through those between now and the next meeting, and hopefully there'll be several old ones that we can get off the list, and as many as we can. Also, I had sent you a copy of the Article 36, which is on the annual town meeting, which is coming up on April 24th. The chair of every board and committee is required to attend. So hopefully at least one of you will be there.
I will be there,
You will?
yes.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because the Board of Selectmen met the other night, and they typically go through the warrant and then assign who's going to read the motions for various articles. And
Oh, please.
someone from the Earthwork Board will need to read the motion for Article 36. I'll make the presentation. It's pretty straightforward. I sent you a copy of the article. It's one, as Tom had mentioned before, we adopted a land disturbance and stormwater bylaw 2 years ago at town meeting in 2021. And as part of that, which was a result of the requirements for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System under the federal EPA program for stormwater, we were required to adopt a bylaw that required a number of things very similar to what we look at with the Earthwork Board. What we opted to do was to assign that task to issue that permit to the Conservation Commission, because most of the projects that are required to get a permit of that nature also are required to get a permit from conservation. And so the hope was that they could, do both at the same time. However, what we neglected to do 2 years ago was to take into account that all the projects that are over an acre would have to go to conservation, but those projects that are under an acre still would come to the Earthwork Board. And for the last couple of years, we haven't had very many projects, but there have been a few that are required to get both. And this article provides an exemption from the Earthwork Board requirement to get a permit if in fact they are going to need a permit from the Conservation Commission because their project is going to disturb more than 1 acre. So I will try to button that language up a little bit and make it more clear and concise as my presentation at town meeting, but that's what it is. There's a second part to it that really is truly housekeeping. Many years ago, we had previously required earthwork permits to be issued by the planning board in the industrial district. We amended that a number of years ago, and the requirement for them to go to the planning board was never stricken from this second section of the article 2-28-040. All it does is eliminate the planning board for getting that permit. So that one truly is housekeeping. So if there are any questions, I can answer them. I believe we talked about this in the past. It's a little less work for you. It's a little bit clearer for the applicants. And it eliminates the need for redundant permits because both of the boards can carry a bond, but the conservation permit through the land disturbance permit through the Conservation Commission carries with it a lot more meat and requirements of the applicant to make sure they follow through on post-construction practices, monitoring the stormwater quality as it is leaving the site, and that they install all these water quality improvement structures, but then they have to inspect them and maintain them annually and submit a report, and all of that would go through the Conservation Commission, where with you, once the project is done, that's it, they're done. But there'll be ongoing requirements with the land disturbance permit. So it makes more sense to have the larger projects go to the Conservation Commission.
And Fred, just a question, to the extent that the Conservation Commission is getting the bond, are there words in there that says that the Conservation Commission needs to be sure that the as-built are delivered to you upon completion before the bond is released?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
They'll, I think the Conservation Commission requires them to go to the Conservation Commission, but we work together, so it's not a problem.
okay,
But
okay.
we require as-built in almost every permit that we issue, the planning board permits, the ZBA permits, earthwork permits, the conservation permits, site plans, Board of Health. My goal is that when we get an as-built plan, it encompasses any permit that they might have gotten, so that there's a one plan that shows the whole property, so that there's not, you don't have to go to the Board of Health to find out where the septic system is.
Sure,
or the water
sure.
department where the water line is. We try to get one plan. So if we all require a permit with the same requirements, hopefully we'll just get one plan and we'll just keep it in all the offices. And that way anybody can answer a question.
Yep.
So,
Good.
yes, we're on top of the as-built. We're all over it.
Yep.
So all of that being said, I'm going to need a volunteer to read that motion on the floor of town meeting.
Oh, are you looking at me?
Well,
I'm out.
we could make it
I'm
one of the
out.
two people who didn't show up tonight if you want, but that's not exactly
Yeah, there you go.
democratic.
Sounds like we're nominating Ron.
Well, I do need to let the board of selectmen know, because they produce a chart and they give it to everyone on the board and staff, and whoever is there from the Earthwork board will get one as well. And it says who's going to present which article, what the majority vote is. Is it 2/3? Is it simple majority? It's kind of we call it a scorecard, so we can kind of progress through the meeting.
I will ask Ron if he wants to read.
All right, can you, hopefully
Mhm.
Ron's feeling better tomorrow, and can you let me know tomorrow, or just shoot me an
Well,
email?
If he's not well, I don't want to give him a call tomorrow.
Well, he
But,
said he was feeling a little dizzy when I talked to him, so he really couldn't make it tonight, so, but,
okay, well, I'll email him tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, what do you want read, the exemption or the article?
I'll
whole
give you
thing.
the actual language, but it's really just a motion. I don't know, I'm trying to find the paperwork I gave you.
This was attached, this came with the,
Up at the top where it says Article 36.
right,
There's Article 36, Town Code, General
federal
Legislation, Chapter.
legislation.
Yep. The
Okay,
other part
that's
where
what
it
has
starts
be-
to see if the town will vote. Actually, the motion's even not on here. It's gonna be very similar to that. I move that the town vote to amend, and then everything else, there's like 3 sentences, 3 lines, 1 sentence.
What's, you don't have to mention the exemption?
No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think so, no. I don't think
Okay,
so.
well, you send.
I'll get you the wording, but it'd be
Whatever we
very
need.
simple and
I'll
straightforward,
either
and then,
ask Ron, if he
Yep.
can't do it, I'll do it.
okay.
So just so you all know, I'm not going to be attending the town meeting. Others would volunteer to read, but I have to stay from crowds and people.
Well, hope things go better for you, Tom.
Yeah, I'm doing chemotherapy right now, so I'm in that mix. So
Are we still on
And
the,
I,
okay, let's wait.
Sorry, I
wait
didn't
till we
hear
get
you.
off the air. Wait till we get off the air. Okay, Owen,
yeah, that's fine.
okay, why don't we adjourn the meeting?
Just want to
make a
make sure we
motion?
don't have anything else. Oh, could you just take a vote on that article? Is anyone opposed to that? Could somebody just make a motion to recommend approval of that article, just in case I need to give something to the town clerk for the file?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we approve Article 36 as written in the,
Second,
How do you vote, Tony?
approve.
Tom, how do you vote?
yes.
The article has been approved.
Okay. So the next meeting will be June 7th.
Yes.
Janet will talk to Ron, let me know about the article and the motion on the floor of town meeting. Town meeting is going to start on Monday, April 24th. I'm not sure how long it's going to go, but I'm expecting it's going to be at least a couple of nights, perhaps even 3. You do want to note that it's going to start at 6 o'clock this year. This will be the first year starting at 6 instead of 7 or 7:30, whatever it was. Okay. Any other questions?
Make a
No.
motion. Someone want to make a motion that we adjourn?
I'll
So
make a motion that we
moved.
adjourn the meeting.
All those in favor?
Tony Pini, yes.
Yes.
Tom Beals, yes. Oh,
Yes.
Okay.